Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates and notifications.
Hello everyone, welcome to Slooth Crime Stories. The story takes place in Lopburi, also known as Ratchaburi, located in central Thailand, 80 kilometers from the capital Bangkok. It is a tourist city with numerous attractions, such as the famous mountain cave for exploration, Khao Bin. The cave is about 200 meters high, with beautiful stalactites inside, as well as attractions like the ancient city of dead trees springing back to life. Every year, on April 13th, lasting 3 days, is THAILAND'S Songkran Festival. This is Thailand's most grand traditional festival, where people splash each other with pure water, praying to wash away the misfortunes of the past year and start a new year with all things beautiful and pure. During the Songkran Festival in 2023, a case occurred in the province, which, after in-depth investigation, implicated many other cases spanning 8 years. The murderer's methods were despicable, with at least 15 confirmed victims, shocking the nation. The story begins on a day in April 2023. April 14, 2023, was a Thursday during the Songkran Festival. In Chulaporn, there is a river named the Mekong River. It is 132 kilometers long, originates in Chiang Rai, flows through Loei and Nong Khai. Along the Mekong River, there are many bustling markets, making them popular spots for people to stroll around. On this day, along the banks of the river, a woman suddenly fainted and fell to the ground for unknown reasons. People nearby rushed to check on her upon seeing her collapse. Noticing her blurred consciousness, they quickly called for an ambulance. A few minutes later, medical personnel arrived at the scene, but the woman had already stopped breathing. They attempted to perform CPR on her, but ultimately failed, and the woman was declared dead. The medical staff initially determined that the cause could be a mental breakdown, possibly triggered by acute heart disease. After receiving the report, the police quickly arrived at the scene. Based on statements from some witnesses by the river, the woman was alone when she suddenly fainted and fell. Combining this with the medical staff's deduction, the police believed it to be an accidental event. The deceased woman was identified as Sararat, 32 years old, a somewhat successful businesswoman with fairly affluent economic conditions. Her parents were devastated by their daughter's sudden death. They did not agree with the police's conclusion, as Sararat was in very good health usually and had never had any heart issues before. Additionally, there were suspicions as Sararat's personal belongings vanished without a trace, including 50,000 Thai baht in cash, an LV handbag, and an iPhone 14 Pro Max, with the total value exceeding 140,000 Thai baht. Insisting on further investigation, Sararat's parents persuaded the police to delve deeper. They first examined surveillance footage near the scene to see if any details had been overlooked. Indeed, they made a significant discovery. The footage showed that Sararat did not go out alone that day. There was another woman with her. For some unknown reason, Sararat and this woman separated while approaching the riverbank. Sararat walked towards the river, where a staircase led down to the shore, while the other woman did not follow, instead walking in the opposite direction. After reaching a higher point across the street, she kept her gaze fixed on the direction of the riverbank, seemingly intentionally checking on Sararat's movements. Not long after, Sararat fainted by the river, and several friends immediately ran to help, while the woman standing at the higher point seemed to witness everything, but her reaction raised suspicions. She did not rush to the riverbank to help her friend. Instead, she went back to her car to fetch some items, and then leisurely walked towards the riverbank. After a while, this woman sneakily left the scene and drove away in her own car, seemingly indifferent to Sararat Kanwong's fainting. Upon verification by Sararat Kanwong's family, the woman in the surveillance footage was identified as Sararat Rangsiwuthaporn, a new friend of Sararat Kanwong. Sararat, 36 years old, was 4 years older than Sararat Kanwong. According to records, Sararat's ex-husband was a policeman named Vitun. The couple lived happily in a police apartment with their 2 children after marriage. Later, Vitun successfully became the deputy director of a police station, prompting the family to move out of the police apartment into a better house. 3 years before this incident, the couple had divorced, but perhaps due to their children, they still met from time to time and maintained a close relationship. After watching the surveillance footage, Siraporn Kanwong's family was convinced that Sararat was the one who plotted for financial gain and somehow caused Siraporn Kanwong's death. Upon obtaining the clues, the police immediately found Sararat to inquire about the situation, asking her if she was with Siraporn Kanwong that day. Unexpectedly, Sararat outright denied it on the spot. It was not until the police presented the surveillance footage that Sararat admitted she indeed had gone out with her friend Siraporn Kanwong that day. According to Sararat's statement, they had planned to visit a temple to pray, and then go to the riverside to release some animals that were about to be slaughtered, as a way to accumulate merit. When asked why she ignored Siraporn Kanwong when she fainted, Sararat explained that she had some urgent matters to deal with at that moment. She thought that Siraporn Kanwong was just feeling a bit unwell, and seeing that there were already many people helping, she didn't intervene. Sararat left first, her response to the allegations less than convincing. The surveillance footage failed to directly implicate her in any assault or crime against Siraporn Kanwong, leaving the police with their hands tied, unable to take immediate action. Their only option was to continue the search for additional evidence. The case caught the media's attention, quickly becoming a subject of public discourse. Some spectators argued that Sararat's nonchalant demeanor in the video, neglecting to assist a fainting friend, was indicative of guilt, painting her as the likely murderer. Sararat maintained her innocence in media interactions, denying any involvement in Siraporn Kanwong's death and refuting any suggestions of a dispute between them. Her defense appeared solid until an unexpected twist. The media exposure led to a flood of reports and whistleblowing. Individuals came forward, linking sudden, unexplained heart attacks and financial losses among their family members directly to Sararat, thickening the plot and casting further doubt on her innocence. Among the informants, there was a woman, Miss A, who claimed to be a survivor of Sararat's malicious actions. She stated that she had arranged to go shopping at a department store with Sararat. Sararat gave her a pill, claiming it had therapeutic effects on the heart and could alleviate coughing, along with a bottle of orange juice. Not long after consuming these, Miss A began to feel a severe pain in her chest and a sensation of suffocation. She immediately called for an ambulance and was taken to the hospital, where she recovered after a period of treatment. After this incident, Sararat gave Miss A a box of capsules, claiming they had weight loss and slimming effects. However, Miss A did not take them, and instead handed the box of capsules over to the police. Subsequently, the forensics department detected a highly toxic cyanide compound in the capsules. Miss A stated that she knew Sararat because their husbands were classmates in police academy, and that Sararat had once borrowed 250,000 Thai baht from her. At the time, the family members of the victims had not noticed any issues until they saw recent news reports, which made them realize that something was amiss. The victims included both men and women, among them 2 female police officers, as well as some police officers' family members. They all shared a common characteristic. They were all relatively well off financially. 11 days after the Siraporn Kanwong case occurred, Sararat was formally arrested by the police while she was over 4 months pregnant. Upon hearing the news, those who knew Sararat found it hard to believe, as she was generally a friendly person and treated others well. They couldn't fathom that she could be such a malicious villain. On the second day after Sararat's arrest, the police conducted a search at her residence. They found several bottles containing liquid, a bag with numerous smaller packages, and a large quantity of empty medical capsules. A few days later, the police searched the residence of Sararat's mother, where they discovered 2 plastic bags filled with white powder and several file folders. Inside the file folders were more than a dozen documents, each marked with different names. Laboratory testing confirmed that the white powder found was cyanide. Cyanide refers to compounds containing cyanide ions or radicals, and is a highly toxic substance that can lead to oxygen deprivation in human cells, resulting in heart attacks. Symptoms of cyanide poisoning include dizziness, rapid breathing, and vomiting. With just a dosage of 100 to 200 milligrams, a person can lose consciousness within a minute or even seconds and eventually die. Cyanide is strictly regulated in Thailand, and unauthorized possession can lead to a 2-year imprisonment. Despite the stringent regulations, some individuals still take risks and engage in illegal trade. During the investigation of buyers, the police unexpectedly found the name of a popular Thai model and actress on the buyers list, and that was Prichaya. This revelation caused quite a sensation in Bolivia. According to her explanation, she purchased cyanide on the advice of others because lizards and snakes would occasionally enter her home, and she wanted to poison these intruding animals. However, before she had a chance to use the cyanide, the police showed up at her door. People had mixed reactions to this explanation, with some believing it and others not. Of course, this is just one episode in this case. The police also searched several vehicles belonging to the suspect Sararat and found cyanide. Interestingly, some of these vehicles were previously owned by the victims. Recently, the forensic team discovered small traces of cyanide in the blood of the municipal victim. Cyanide is rapidly metabolized in the human body, with 80% eliminated within 24 hours, which explains why only a small amount was detected during thorough testing. Mr. B, one of the victims, had a friend who provided a crucial lead to the police. Notably, Mr. B was Sararat's boyfriend, and a month before the municipal case in March 2023, Sararat made a sudden emergency call to the police. In essence, the forensic team found a small amount of cyanide in the victim's blood, but it disappears quickly from the body. Mr. B, who had a connection to Sararat, could possess vital information, as Sararat's emergency call took place a month before the March 2023 incident. Mr. B collapsed, and by the time emergency personnel arrived, he had stopped breathing. Despite this, Mr. B's family and the police did not suspect Sararat, who claimed to be his girlfriend and pregnant with his child. However, a friend of Mr. B found the situation odd, especially since Sararat seemed to be in good spirits, and even attended a birthday party on the night of Mr. B's death. While going through Mr. B's belongings, the friend found a strange bottle of pills labeled U-1680, which, upon investigation, was found to contain highly toxic cyanide. With this new evidence, the police began to suspect Sararat in a series of mysterious deaths. Despite the mounting evidence and multiple witness testimonies, Sararat refused to admit to poisoning Mr. B or any of the other victims. Given the gravity and number of cases involved, the police quickly formed a special task force to investigate similar past cases in Thailand. However, with many of the victims having been cremated, uncovering the truth proved to be a significant challenge. Sararat was suspected of being involved in at least one case of poisoning, and as the investigation continued, she was implicated in up to 13 cases, with the possibility of more as the police delved deeper into her past. Sararat posed as the deputy director of the police department's wife and targeted people with ties to the police for her scams. She carefully researched her victims and designed her schemes to match their financial situations. One of her tactics involved creating a savings and credit association, where members were required to contribute money at specific times. However, this method was legally questionable and posed a risk of embezzlement. Sararat formed a group with 7 members, but tragically, 4 of them died in mysterious circumstances. One woman was almost a victim, but managed to avoid harm by refusing to pay a high membership fee during the second payment cycle, which resulted in her being expelled from the group. Sararat's impersonation and fraudulent activities had serious consequences for those she targeted. Sararat not only exploited rotating savings schemes, but also built trust with targets to borrow and embezzle money, initially in small amounts with prompt, high-interest repayments. As trust grew, she borrowed larger sums and began plotting her victims' deaths. She coerced them into mortgaging assets, like cars, subsequently murdering them and seizing the insurance payouts. In one case, a victim mortgaged their car for 150,000 Thai baht, only to die the day they received the loan, the money vanishing mysteriously. Sararat took her deception further, forging documents to swindle bereaved families and even selling a victim's property. An insurance employee recalled her peculiar inquiries about policy payouts and criteria, aligning with her modus operandi of inviting victims to meals, offering deceptive capsules under the guise of health benefits, which played a part in her lethal schemes. The capsules Sararat offered to her victims were lethally laced with cyanide. After administering, she'd coldly observe. If the victim died, she'd sever all connections and even attempt to destroy their phones, erasing any potential evidence. She audaciously targeted a female police officer, witnessed via surveillance footage, nonchalantly sitting beside her before the officer suddenly collapsed, with Sararat quickly departing without offering aid. Sararat maintained a chilling calmness during media interactions, skillfully concealing her connection to the victims' tragic ends. Once her heinous acts were exposed, public outrage and perplexity surged, questioning her motives behind the relentless killings and massive theft. Investigations unveiled a dark past of online gambling addiction, dragging Sararat into deep debt. To salvage her financial ruin and fuel her gambling, she resorted to a relentless 8-year spree of manipulative and murderous schemes. He has a history of mental illness, which is somewhat related to his capability to commit these outrageous acts. Half a month after his arrest, Sararat's ex-husband, Vitun, was also apprehended by the police. In the backyard of his residence, they discovered suspicious medicine bottles that had been burned, and many unlabeled suspicious drugs were found inside the house. Cyanide was also found in his client's car, although he claimed to be completely unaware of it. Aside from her ex-husband Vitun, there are also a few other suspects believed to be accomplices, such as Sararat's brother-in-law, who once helped Sararat send a package belonging to Peng. Additionally, some individuals associated with the temple are under suspicion, as Sararat frequently took her victims to this temple. However, due to insufficient evidence, no action could be taken against them. However, a month after Sararat was arrested, the police suddenly announced a third suspect. Her name is Cyanide, a 35-year-old lawyer. The police has obtained ample evidence proving that she once assisted in forging, concealing, and destroying evidence to help Sararat evade legal punishment. Since the reporting of the Silpi Pengyu case, countless media journalists have been following the case closely, and many citizens are also very concerned about the subsequent developments. During one of the transfers of Sararat, a large crowd of journalists and citizens gathered around the police car. The reporters stretched their arms to bring the microphones close to Sararat, hoping he would say a few words to the camera. Wearing a pink top and bowing his head, Sararat remained silent, walking through the crowded crowd under police escort into the police car. A month after the arrest of the third suspect, Deputy Director Surachate Hakpan of the Royal Thai Police Headquarters, along with several other deputy directors and local police chiefs, made a public statement about Sararat's case. Surachate stated that they now have sufficient evidence and reasonably identified 15 cases over 8 years across 8 provinces in Thailand, with Sararat as the murderer. There is only one survivor, and other related cases are still under investigation, some of which have insufficient evidence. The police looked at about 25,000 papers and talked to more than 900 people for this case. It's one of the biggest murder cases in Thailand. All the victims had dealt with money with Sararat. The first crime happened in July 2015 when Sararat picked up someone from the airport. The next day, this person was found dead in their home. Sararat took their money, somehow got their property, sold it, and made a lot of money, several million Thai baht. 5 years later, in August 2020, another crime happened. Sararat helped a friend get cash by using their car as a guarantee for a loan, then she killed them. She even asked the dead person's husband to pay money to get the car back. The police also looked into the gambling websites Sararat used and found she had spent over 93 million Thai baht there over the years. She put all the money she tricked people out of into gambling. At one point, she was spending up to 10 Thai baht million a day on gambling. In the end, the police arrested the people running the gambling website. Aside from Sararat, the first defendant in this case, the second defendant, Vitun, and the third defendant, Cyanide, will also be prosecuted together. During the investigation by the prosecution, none of the defendants admitted to their crimes. In July 2023, Sararat was formally charged with 14 counts of intentional homicide, 1 count of premeditated murder, and nearly 80 other charges, setting a record for the highest number of criminal charges in Thai history. In addition to the 3 defendants, the dealer who sold the cyanide and the related website were also charged. Although the heinous crimes committed by Sararat are enough for her to be sentenced to death, Sararat is pregnant. According to Thai law, as long as the pregnant woman admits to all the crimes before the child is born, she cannot be sentenced to death. Furthermore, the mother has the right to take care of and accompany the child for 6 months to a year before being separated. After that, she will face a maximum penalty of life imprisonment. In Thailand, the maximum term for life imprisonment is 50 years, and with good behavior in prison, the actual sentence could be reduced, potentially to just over 20 years. The public is concerned that people might be in danger again after Sararat is released, but she refuses to plead guilty. Unexpectedly, 2 months after Sararat's arrest, it was revealed that she had suffered a miscarriage. Subsequently, Sararat's defense attorney requested a forensic investigation, as Sararat was 7 months pregnant at the time, and the fetus was in a relatively stable condition. There might have been foul play involved in the miscarriage. The official statement was that the miscarriage was caused by excessive psychological stress, and she had 2 previous miscarriage experiences. After the miscarriage, she faced the maximum penalty of death. This brought a sense of relief to some of the victims' families. Some people expressed that the child might not have wanted to be born, to avoid being part of an unfortunate family. As for the identity of the child's father, no one knows. A Thai TV station once reported a horrifying story. Sararat had asked 2 young people to help destroy evidence of the murder. After being refused, she threatened them in a terrifying tone, saying that if they did not do as she instructed, she would retaliate against them, even if she ended up in prison. At the time of this report, the case has not been officially sentenced yet, but there is widespread speculation that Sararat is very likely to be sentenced to death. What is chilling is that 5 years elapsed before the first case was confirmed after Sararat's initial crime, suggesting that there may be more undiscovered victims. How many victims Sararat truly harmed remains a mystery, known only to her. This unsolved case leaves us with more questions than answers, creating a chilling air of suspense. The truth is hidden deep, and only Sararat holds the key. The mystery continues, leaving everyone in suspense and wonder.
Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates and notifications.